And we're back. Hello, welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and just Baharov, just straight up Baharov, because Tony's on, he loves Baharov.
We love that. Well, who doesn't love Baharov?
We love Baharov in this house. To that 6+++ show, I'm your host, Tom, and we have a Team England special tonight because we're in the teeny tiny gap from one WTC to the next.
Feels like it, yeah.
Which is an appropriate time to reflect, renew, think again, and move forwards and everything else and all those things. Obviously, it's been quite an eventful time for Team England. Had a WTC played. I've had an election, and I've got an exciting new application process. So that's when we like to hear what Tony's thinking about it all, because Tony is a busy man with all these things. So myself and Chris have lured him out from hiding. He's busy in the real world right now, but we'll introduce him and get started. Tony, how are things?
Busy already. We didn't really give. Normally we give ourselves like a month off, and we like ends the application window for like end of September. Yeah, but there's just so much. There's so much going on already. I think it's just where 40k is, right? There's so many events: September, October, November, December. Like to start the process in September, at the end of it, even start of October, we feel like we'd already missed so much.
Yes.
So we pretty much hit the ground running when we came back from WTC. And we've been through a few different changes. I had a captaincy vote for England, which we haven't had for a little while. Shaking up the team around that. I'm still captain, but I've got some extra people helping out as well, which is great.
Yes.
So it's all looking really exciting for the year.
I think there's loads to talk about in relation to that, and it was really exciting, as you say. Captain's vote is really cool, and we'll talk about Boris and the wonderful addition of Boris to the leadership team as well in a bit. So yeah, it has been. I mean, I guess for you, that removed any chance of any break whatsoever, right? Once there's a captaincy vote as well, that's like the tiny bit of time you might have off. That's gone, really.
Well, it's funny because with the captaincy vote, we even that felt like it was squished in as well because we had so many things lined up, and you never know. The way that the process works and what probably continues to work is you don't have to, let somebody know months in advance you want to be captain. There's a small pool of, most nations have their own selection criteria, but most will genuinely find, well, however they word it, that you have to have been to the event and played for the team at some point. Not because it's a club that you have to be in or we keep anybody out, but until you've really been through the ringer at WTC and seen what the event is like itself and all the prep that goes in and what everybody else puts in, I think to step into that and try and lead it is you'd be doing the nation a disservice. So it's not that it has to be me forever, certainly not.
Yeah.
I think whoever's been, as long as they've been and seen it for themselves and they go, okay, I get what it is, then you can really grasp that.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have an election system in 6++, do we, Chris?
No, absolutely not. So, hey,
dictatorship, right, Chris?
Take on this strain, then be my guest. Well, no one does. So,
absolutely, no one wants anywhere near that. I like my job as just getting to be gobby, but not have to
get the glory.
Yeah. Give me that lovely glory. As you can hear, Chris is here. Chris is actually going to be in something of a questions driving seat tonight because I've been quite involved in a lot of the stuff Tony's been doing in recent time. So we felt like Chris's outside eyes might be useful. But Chris, is there anything particularly new or exciting in your 40k life of late that you might want to mention?
Well, I had a very fun yesterday.
Did you?
With Mr. Jack Titan Ed Watts of England application fame. We started a new show up on Monday lunchtimes. Because obviously I'm now working 4 days a week to try and push the old 6++.
Chris has actually got the coveted day off to do 40k, which is very exciting. Taking a plunge.
Very exciting times. Slightly, we won't tell my partner that our outgoings are, more than our income. We'll just gloss aside from that and just talk about the fact that it's going to
talk purely about revenue, Chris. That's my
absolutely all about revenue.
Yeah.
But no, we had a really fun. It's going to be an hour condensed show where we just talk about the week in Warhammer, recent events. Play a little game, and then members can submit lists for us to kind of talk about and that sort of thing. There's a Dear Deirdre section. So yeah, it was good fun. Had a blast. So that's on every Monday, 12 till 1.
So we've got live shows all over the shop now. So you have Monday, Tuesday. I think when Fight Night eventually returns, that'll be Thursday. There's all sorts going on, so you guys can enjoy that. Okay, I'm going to shout out people in the chat, and then we'll get into it and talk about England stuff in some depth. So John Black is in, Charlie Watts is in, Sam Dunn is talking about an England application, so maybe there'll be some further conversation we can have with Sam Dunn about that. Tony, love to see it. Very exciting. And Space Bugs is in. Very good. I don't fully understand that comment. Is that related to Monday's show, Chris?
Yeah, so the game I stole, Who Am I game, I stole directly from a golf podcast.
Oh, nice.
And Peter Finch is a quite famous YouTube golfer.
You probably get away with that, right? There aren't many 40k golf enthusiasts that
You should
No,
say that.
I think Chris might be the premier one.
Our WhatsApp group has been lit up recently with golf chat because one of our players, Sam, is on a lad's holiday with his dad and godfather and stuff, and he's playing golf for the first ever time, and he's just tracking his success or lack of success in the group chat and trying to bring out.
Can I just put out in England's defence, by the way, Josh Carlod is trying to blame his meta chasing on Team England applications.
Oh, I can see that in the chat.
Not a thing, people. Not a thing. Be true to yourself. Don't be a
Josh Carlod says England application made message. Yeah, Josh started playing Death Guard about halfway through the process and was like, "Oh, I like the way this feels, and I know I don't want it to end." So yeah, he's got the bug for that. I think just crack out the occasional Eldar event if you're ever in doubt is my advice. That's always helped. That always helped me feel better after a bit of slogging on something else. Oh dear, excellent, very very good. Mike Duff's in, very nice, giving it some love. And apparently you are the second most handsome bald 40k player there, Tony. So I assume he means himself in first.
I mean, there's a few of us now. Actually, it's
it's a growing community.
New England application criteria.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Half the team must be bald.
Absolutely amazing. All right, okay. I mean, that's it from us on the intro side, guys. So we'll be diving in. Obviously, if you have England-related questions for Tony, covering all things from last year, this year, whatever you like, you can chuck them in chat. We'll endeavour to answer them. Obviously, super chats get priority because we are financially biased people. So don't you worry about it. Throw those in. And I guess I'm gonna open it up. Chris said he'd scrolled a few questions down. I'm going to open it up to the Capitan and see if he has questions for my other Capitan. Because Capitan's all over the place.
Well, mine are quite general, but I guess the logical place to start is going to be obviously what we just had, right? You just WTC. So I guess because obviously I'm coming at it from a very different perspective. Tom's obviously been very much involved in the process and stuff. I just got to watch and follow along and that sort of thing. So, I guess the general thing that we as 40k viewers would want to know is how did you feel it went? Was it, if you were to rank it out of 10, with obviously 10 being, we took the whole thing down and 0 being up. Yeah, that was a great response. How did it go for you guys? What are the key things you took away? What were the positives and negatives from the event itself? Really?
So it's been really interesting as part of the post event when we had the captaincy bid straight after. We found out after the event that actually we'd come joint second for the sportsmanship side of it. Yeah. And a big thing this year was to try and improve that side, where it's not that England had this rep that we were the dirtiest players in the game or that nobody wanted to play against us. It's not that. But we had a reputation that we would play a hard game when we had players around the group that weren't great as opponents and you wouldn't have a good time. And that kind of tarnished wider events that they wanted to invite us to. Sam Dunn is buying his way into the setup. I love it.
Yeah, we love that. Very good.
But, I mean, I'll be really honest with you. I wasn't pleased with our finish out of the 42 teams that were there. And I had some players other people talking to me about the application process and captaincy going, well, why didn't you come out and say exactly what happened and why it happened? Well, I think I was quite honest with the players that we picked when we went there. It's a rebuild year. And this year, we took me. I've been more times than anybody else, short of Josh Roberts and Nathan Roberts maybe. And even they have been able to drop out to come because they both went down for Games Workshop. So they dropped out the last few years. There's me, there's Naz, that was his third WTC.
Yeah.
And we have Courtney was in the team who had been before, but hadn't actually been since the pod stages had been instituted. And I think that is a big shake-up to the meta where 3 teams know they're playing you and say, we're going to restart it. And so it felt like it was 2 players who were experienced and 6 new players. Yeah. And I think anybody who tells you that they can pick 6 new players to WTC and go and win the event, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see that model where you get 2 experienced and 6 new, because I think it's really hard. John's put a comment in the chat saying, I've heard lots of podcasts say England's on a rebuild year. How long is the rebuild going to take? Well, you know what, John? We aren't giving it. It's not a 5-year rebuild. It's not the Premier League. I'm not going into a Man United team where I'm going, hold all these players, and it's not. But the way that WTC works is all the 6 of those players came away going, God, I wish I knew that going in about some aspect of their list building, their approach, their practice, the things they needed to prioritize. Because WTC, until you've been, is this magical land where every player is Liam VSL and everybody knows exactly what your list does and everybody plays the perfect game. And the reality is, people don't know what your list does. They want you to run through their strats again, just like they would at a pickup game, just like they would at a tournament. And it's not this magical fantasy land. And you can go there and you can do well, and you can come away going, oh, actually, I'm a good 40k player. I'm a WTC level 40k player. And I think the UK standard is really high. And to not acknowledge the wider standard of that, the work that UKTC does, the work independent events, you guys yourselves are stepping into the tournament scene now. You've got things like Glasshammer, Goonhammer, all sorts of regular events where you can go and play other, inverted commas, famous 40k players from across the country, guys you've heard of who've won big events before. All of that means that our standard is really high. So now, this year is interesting. We've got less applicants than we ended up with last year. We ended up in like the mid-60s last year, and we're currently mid-50s when we closed the applications on Friday. A couple of things we've changed is that we're not going to close applications firmly. If we discover a really good 40k player at LGT at the end of September, we're not going to go, oh mate, well if you wait till next year, then you can put your name forward. You can step forward to the process. You might be a bit behind. We might not have a space at an event we're running for you, but we'll try and find a way to see you or to follow you and to talk to you and look at the events. We changed the way we're doing the feedback in terms of we're front loading games and practice, and then we're ending our first selection phase with actually trying to speak to you and talk to you and follow it up. So it's all that sign of it's all shifted. There's a bigger team around me to help you manage the feedback and to do the chasing there. So what I'm hoping is, I took a team I have considered quite new players, not unexperienced 40k players. They weren't guys who were picking up the game in September and we taught them to play it and we went. But WTC is so much pressure. It's little things like there's 2 4.5-hour games in a day. You have an hour for lunch in blazing heat. You might have to play a team that we didn't expect to play because of rankings, and you have to adjust your matrix for predictions to the mission, to the scores, to the opponents, to their scores, what they've done so far. You might have a list that you think I beat every time, but he's played my list 3 times and smashed that person. So clearly one of us is wrong. You want to take that risk? Do you want to? And these are all the things and the pressures on top of, oh my God, it's my first WTC. I hope I get to play again. I don't want to do badly. And again, I've been loads of times. I don't do well at WTC in terms of my personal performance because I'm cocky or because I give myself good pairings or anything like that. If I lose a game, I lose a game. I can't. I'm big enough, broad enough shoulders to water for ducks back. I'll go again. I'll still be annoyed with myself, and people who see me lose a game now will know that about me. But for people who are new, it's all those extra pressures. So it's coming right back around to the question. The rebuild was hopefully a year. Because we've been doing it for a couple of years. This is only going to be my 3rd year as captain. I've been helping others steer the ship for a long time. And I've done, I think, with the team around me, it's not just me. We've rebuilt a Discord. We've made ourselves a community focus point. We've made ourselves more accessible and available. We've done loads of things. So this year, hopefully, we take a group of players who are new and we add them to experienced players who, for whatever reason, we just lost a lot of the experienced players. There was no fallout. There was no people who were don't like you, Tony, that's it. I want to have a new captain, not coming back. But there's players who actually went through 2 years of it, went, I'm emotionally drained, I want a break. I'm really tired. Players who last year thought, we're definitely on for it. We're on for a podium. And then we lost 2 rounds and we ended just outside of the top podium places. This year, we actually had the same kind of win-loss record, but our secondaries weren't as solid. Our wins were closer. So we ended much lower. And you know what? No, I'm not going to come on to the podcast tonight and anything and go, 12th is amazing. I'm so proud. Of course I'm not. But in the same way that I'd love to say we're going to win it every year, last year was a year to step back, bring loads of new people in, and now they strengthen us, and we go again. So sorry, that was a bit of a monologue, boys.
No, I think there's lots of stuff. There's lots of stuff I'd agree from the perspective of one of the newer players, right? As well, being one of those people for whom it was new. I think almost every single one of us who hadn't been before had at least one game where there was a hard lesson, right? Every single one of us had one game somewhere at some point where you're like, okay. And it's those things that I think you do have to be there and do have to see it. To fully get your sense of and fully get your fix of, and also playing against teams like Poland, like Germany, who have this, the experience sort of bedded in, is really interesting. As you said, Tony, it's also interesting because absolutely you get there and realize you can hang with people from all around the world on these armies, and that's really interesting. It is actually, as you say, it's more human and more leveled out than the mythos of it would make you think it is, right?
And you know what, right? The reason that people keep going to back to WTC and they want to go back, and it's such a big tournament, is I know there's Worlds which kind of does the same thing, and everybody kind of mingles and talks and chats. But you go to Worlds and you're not really on a team. You might be with a group of guys from your nation, but there's no kind of structured side of it. It is that group of people, and you work together and bonded for almost a year sometimes, possibly longer. It is so much of a group that you bring together, and we really worked hard this year on improving on previous years and building that team feeling where we were there for each other as a group. And you know what, we were literally a handful of battle points of achieving a really great place finish. We didn't achieve it though, and that's the criticism that you have to bear. You can't avoid it. You have to go, England are expected to do better. We want to do better, and that unequivocally is this year's goal, right?
Yeah.
For practical reasons as well, there's a ranking system, WTC. Your seeding 1 to 42 is based on the last 3 years. Hi, Alex. We've our fifth place seeding is about to drop off. So whatever we achieved this year, we added to a 7th and a 12th. So we could be a seed 2 team. And what that, if we were to do the same positioning again, and what that would mean is the year after, still be the WTC, but we'll potentially have to play our pod games with a seed 1 team, and it's just an extra hard game. And you know what? Nobody wants an extra Poland or Germany game. Nobody wants to have USA in your pod. It just makes your whole progress harder. So that's our goal this year. Our goal has to be the top end of top 10, and it has to be an improvement on that placement, and it has to be the little bits where players have gone, I didn't practice right, I didn't prepare right, I didn't know what I was doing, my list wasn't right. Those we have to draw on all that experience now and go, right, we've got to fix it. And it's only the small issue of an 11th edition that might drop end of June with the WTC in August, so we'll have like a month to just figure it out. But again, that is the strength of the English community. There's tons of 40k players who just absorb every tidbit of information they get. They're all there, they're on our Discord, they're chatting all the time. So I think there's loads to do, and there's loads of people we want to see involved. There's tons of new players applied, and obviously the process doesn't take all of them through, because to manage, if we get to say 64, 65 again, to take 65 people through a process of regular monthly feedback and regular game, it just doesn't work, right? You don't do job interviews over that kind of a period. And we are cut into a smaller group of 16. We went to 21, 22, so we could do some group games last time. It's 16 after Christmas, and we work from there, and the squad will appear from that.
I think it's interesting as well. It's like the comparison, Chris, would be like, when you get back from an event and you just start writing lists and you've got that kind of galvanization, it definitely does have that effect as well.
You see, when you have those elements of success and those elements of, but actually next time,
that's it.
Obviously, for me, it's the ITT, right?
Yeah, ITT is the exact same.
We've come quite close a few times, and every time we get back, and I'm immediately, it's that
hungry
hard journey back, isn't it? Where you're like, right, actually, this went really well. We want to implement this. I would actually like to mention the finishing place, because I think you see it so often in sport and competition, right? The smallest of margins dictate the entire storyline. You take the England women, right? They just won the Euros for football. They were in lead in all the knockout stages. They were in the lead for 4 minutes. They were either drawing or behind for the rest of all of those 4 games, and yet they come home heroes. If they lost that first knockout game, then it's just job done. Imagine those many moons ago where England were doing well, and they almost got there with the men's team. They almost did it, but they didn't. So that's the story, right? And for you guys, the story, which for so many people who don't necessarily want to be super positive, is England came 12th. Well, but actually, as you say, you were a few points away from 6th, right? And that is immediately an entirely different story, but it shouldn't be, because actually the number of points you scored, just give or take a few, shouldn't be the reason of whether it was a successful year or not. And from our perspective, or from my perspective, just looking in, it feels like there were so many, if you're thinking about what your objectives were, obviously the sport thing was a huge part of the focus for this little bit. It punctuated your entire year of your selection processes, the way you did so many things, and that was a huge success. And it's a shame, I think, that if you're going, right, we want to have a whole new system in which we have a better application system. We can get more involved in the community. That's going to be one of our success criteria. Another one is going to be we're going to be a really popular team that people love to play. That's going to be a second success criteria. And then the third one is hopefully we do well, get top 10 or whatever. Well, you've nailed 2 of them and you very nearly nailed like all 3. So especially when you're...
It would have been very nice to nail all 3.
Yeah, oh, of course it would. But when you're implementing such huge sweeping changes as well, inevitably, I mean, we do this all the time with our channel and things we implement. We have ideas, we think they're going to work, you implement them, and as you're doing them, you go, oh, actually, well, this will work better next time, right? It's just, it is inevitable. And I think you guys deserve full credit for just being as successful as you were, considering how many changes you made. It wasn't like you did little things, right? It's very easy to make little adjustments.
You're right, Chris. Shout out, by the way, to the Malta boys.
Yes,
yeah,
that's Mintoff, who I played in that horrible GSC versus Admex slog game in the heat.
Do you know, Chris? I think the thing is, I completely get it's a criticism of people go, oh, but what about this? I get that people look in and they think England should be at a standard and they should be at a point. And I don't disagree with that, but we picked a team of people we thought that we could work really well with to get us across the line, and we nearly got there. I'm not sad with that team. I'm not disappointed with that team. I'd pick that team again. I would. I've said that to lots of people. I'll say it on the record now, and you can watch me back saying it. Because those people, for various reasons, for feedback, for player feedback, for examples of opponents and what they did, their communication, all sorts, I think we picked the players at the time that showed us the best things, and we were nearly there. That doesn't mean I'm going to go, well, that's it, it's done. And equally, we brought people. So the captaincy bid, we had Boris decided to run against me for captain, and had some ideas and things he could improve. There were aspects of things we talked about there that he and I don't agree on, probably still now. But that's good. Like it's good to have somebody who challenges your views. I don't want to be some sort of Socratic leader that has just people just cozying up to him and go, oh, that was a great idea, Tony. Yeah. Oh, it didn't work again. Well, we'll try again next year. Because we'll never really get there. We really won't. And coming back to, there was a question from Charlie.
I'll pick a couple of those out, Tony. So we had a super chat in for the listeners from Charlie who says, can Team England 40k learn from Elite Sport on player, dev and talent identification, building our talent pool for future years? ITT England under-21 team, for example. And there was a bit of love and follow-up for that and talking about the French system. What do you think about that, Tony?
So that is one of the primary areas that we've asked Boris to lead on. I mean, when the application's closed, we're going to do a bit of a lead from our side of who's doing what this year and what the roles are. We're already sharing kind of what we meet for at least 2 to 3 hours once a week to just go with all the things we're chasing through. And that'll only get probably more in depth as we talk about players and application. But particularly on that side of it, we need to delegate things out. So Boris is going to look on that kind of, we call it the England Academy side of it.
Yeah.
And how we, when we cut to 16 and then eventually to 8, how we don't lose the other, if we have 64 players, say, if we don't lose the other 48 players.
Yeah, 100%.
Out of the process. So ITT, the May ITT has been one that we've kind of signposted that we'll try and make that one. It's a great point in the position of application where the England team's probably just selected or being selected. We're able to take people along. We can bring the community event. We can spread the team around. It's a nice. We did that this year. It was a really great community effort, and we had teams doing really well. There was another comment from John as well about the French.
Yes,
league. I mean,
about the French system. Yeah,
the ITT is UK and UKTC are in a really strong position in that Zach, the guy who owns that package, has basically built it up to be something where it's the massive tournament system in the UK, and I believe that there's some GW affiliation they come out and said they've been involved with, so that's only strengthening on that side of it. And I guess there's always going to be that disparity between WTC and Games Workshop, where they're not quite the same system. Like WTC are a separate entity with their own terrain pack, and if you look at the Worlds or GW terrain packs, they sit differently. It would be amazing if ITT went overnight, we're going to invest loads of money and buy entire WTC terrain sets and do some WTC events. It would be amazing, but I don't know if there's an appetite for that. WTC events use it's 8 tables in a row in a game of 8 system, but every table's different. A lot of the time, some repeats. It's a lie, but for the most part, it's different tables. I just don't know whether there's the appetite for that from the UKTC or the UK scene. It does mean we're always a step behind. There's always an element of when we train players up to apply for England or join it, they get something. Part of list writing is going, Oh, but my list doesn't work on WTC boards. Oh,
Yeah.
but my list, this list with these weird niche choices, shouldn't work on a UKTC board, but
Yes.
works amazing on this board because I picked this board, and then I
Yes.
can do this, and this every game. And it's a whole layer of game within the game. And again, it comes back right to my point before, where that's why some players love coming back to it, because it's the extra challenge and the extra level of skill expression you're able to put in just by turning up with the list before
Yeah.
you even got to the table, to the game and the opponent. Just knowing which table you're going to pick that's going to give you that advantage, because that's the mission where you do X, Y, Z. Oh, and then you're playing Death Guard. Cool. Oh, playing Eldar, I'm going to do this. All of that side of it. So there's loads that we could probably do. We are in some discussion with the UKTC, but like I said, that's a one to be seen, because obviously there are recent ties with GW. But we, again, part of the captaincy bid the prize put forward was some possible partnership or doing some events where we steal a chunk of ITT, where they make the money, but we do as kind of a WTC style event in the corner. Where the practicality of that is just the thing to work on, right?
Yeah.
You'll probably see that if it happens 2026, 2027, but that's probably not a end of 2025 thing. I think we probably see through this calendar year, and then we look ahead.
I feel like the direction of travel is towards more WTC terrain in the country. It's obviously, Chris and I, with the events we've been running, that's why we've zeroed in on it. We think it's where things will end up going, because I think the interest in teams and in WTC is much greater than it used to be. But I think you're right that we're further behind than the French in that sense. I do think with the French system, I always find the conversations quite funny, because the story with the French is that they had their big system. The other story with the French is that they had one rope a year, and then they brought a lot of the same people and they won, and then they brought a lot of the same people again and they won again. And so at the core of it, although we talk about systems, that's a very WTC story, right? They gradually found their core of people, they won, they didn't change it too much, they won again. That sounds like that could be a number of teams with different systems.
But the WTC, if you don't know the French WTC system, it's their system, right? In France, singles events, you can go to them, but they're not really as much of a thing as team events. No. Everybody's part of a team, like your 6++, like your Knight, like your Mind Goblins, whatever it might be. But within that, you go, cool. I play for Blackroad Gaming. I'm on their A team. I play in the A League, and I play league games. And eventually, the league winners at the end of it, the captain from the WTC team is that captain. And so they've got the strongest players in France leading the strongest. So imagine we went to the ITT as it is, and Team England went every year with the strongest England players we could, and we won every year, and that was the England team. That's the model in France. I'm simplifying it greatly, right? But then they have leagues and divisions and progression up and down. So there's loads to play for within that team side, and it's got a massive financial entity behind it that generates loads of revenue and fees and so the scope there is big, but it's been set up from the ground up there, and we are not doing that. Well, that's where the UK doesn't have that set up. There's a question one from Sam was asking about an American style academy. Well, the American style academy system is actually they more players sponsor new players and they bring them in, but they don't necessarily take them all. They try to take them all to the event, but not all of them do go. It is something we tried last year. I'll be really honest, we picked a squad of 24 and we said to you, we want you all to come to the event if you can. We want you to coach, we want you to stay in the group and play. Some people didn't want to do that once they weren't selected because they said it's not worth my time, it's not worth my effort. Some said it's not worth, I can't get the time off or the money or justify it just to be a coach or a supporter. Yeah. Some players were really upset they didn't get picked. Some players were really took the feedback and went, okay, I'll apply again next year. Some don't want to be involved anymore. Yeah. And that's always good in the nature of it's the selection system isn't a ranking. You can't earn X amount of points and it gets you on the team. Teams have tried that, it doesn't work. Universally now, WTC teams you elect the captain. That's the selection point, and that you have to put the faith in that captain that they're going to do the right thing for the team. Mm-hmm. That's why the team is not just me. That's why I've got multiple vice captains this year. Naz, particularly, is going to be leading with me on the feedback, but Robbo and Boris are going to be involved in that as well. Matt Robertson, Boris Michev, because Matt Robertson is a former WTC team captain, head ref at the event. He's been and seen and done it for longer than I have, to be fair. But wants to get himself involved, play again. Boris has been to a WTC first time a couple of years ago, but is massively passionate about it. He's got great ideas about how to improve. So all of those players are going to help me look and see. I've also got my spies in the community, people that I'm not going to mention, that aren't going to come on, and I'm going to speak to about how did you played that guy. We actively go out and we find your opponents. We go and ask how are things going, how are you doing, etc. So we do chase on those side of things. it's Caroline's probably rude to chat about my own channel on this channel, but the England channel has been quiet for a while just because of time and content is the honest answer. And I found, honestly, my time this year, a bit like Chris was saying before, I genuinely am on at least one call chat for 2 to 3 hours an evening, then another one, and then I ostensibly try to play some games of TTS and to have a life. So it's balancing all those things is really difficult.
It's not easy.
The given way is the England content side of it, but we're hoping to really push that again, starting when application closes.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a comment from Emperor Mintoff saying, I think UKTC being predominantly its own terrain does sometimes hinder it. I think the process for Team England causes extra reps on different terrain with different staff. I'd agree with this, and I'm sure Tony has similar thoughts. I mean, I took some of our sort of 6+ younger lads to Glasshammer teams, which was WTC this weekend gone. And for a couple of those players, you could really tell they've been playing on WTC this year in the process. They love it. They know what they're doing. They go and smash on it. And then for a couple, they're coming to me and saying, oh, my repulsor died turn 1 because I didn't know where to put it. And you're like, okay, well, that's all right. That's what we're learning. You know, we're learning lessons here. We're learning lessons here. That's all right. You know, and it does. It's an acquired taste. It takes time.
You see, I put umbrage with one word in that, say from Rintoff, which is hinder, because I think anybody who doesn't think back a few years to UKTC massively popularised 40k tournament games in the UK. Like they've done a massive job. It's other countries have done the same thing, but with WTC terrain. WTC focus. Like in Poland, there is a massive single scene, but it's all WTC terrain all the time. And so you plan for those games. Like it's that level, like you just said, that your new players are learning that extra thing on top. So it is hard, but like it's almost part of the joy of the process, really. Kind of it opens up that new side. As you said, once players have discovered that, it's really enjoyable.
Exactly. And I think that's where the community aspect is a huge strength. And again, that's why I think Boris, with the ideas about academisation as well, are really interesting, because what is very clear is that Discord has a huge number of people in it of all different levels and all different sort of levels of enthusiasm and application and ambition in the game. And they're all having a great time in there playing games. And actually what you want is a system that can accommodate and allow for all of those people and help them out in different ways, right? Rather than just being about whatever 8 you take off to some place in Europe every summer. It actually goes a lot further and a lot deeper than that now. And we're just trying to think about ways to build that up, right?
Yeah, and prime example, the people of some comments in the chat on the side have been, what should I do? Should I get involved? Well, apply.
Yeah, 100%.
If you apply and you don't make it to the team, that's okay. We don't put you in like the list of, well, he was rubbish. And they're gone forever. I mean, some of my previous teammates, some of my favourite teammates, or the best performing, a bit of both, have been players who came and coached and then played because they got to see it, got to see the mistakes and the pitfalls that others went through, and they didn't have to figure it out as a player first year. They saw it and then they were ready and they knew what they were going to try and do. They had that bit of nous. Others, just wait till you meet me, Tony. Okay, Sam. So,
Sam is alive while you'll enjoy Sam. He's good fun.
Awesome stuff. I look forward to it. But then, if you're not sure, apply. We have events. We have events coming up. We're going to the Battle of Britain event that the Team Wales organises. I mean, it's a fundraiser Team Wales, but we're taking 4 teams of 6. So that's 24 players that we get to see at the event. We get to put through the paces. We've got our own event we're organising with Prestige Games in Barnsley in November. And we've got 48 players in 6 teams of 8. And we're going to split those players up on the experience, an army and all sorts. I mean, if you want to see what it's like, come to that. We'll try and give you the best experience possible, because those should be 2 tournaments where you're going to see players playing the game in the right way, in a nice manner. If you're new, then they're not going to be chomping at the bit, going to stomp you. They might be if it's Nas, but otherwise, you're generally going to be
on my first one. I remember it well.
That's because Nas was so hungover in his first game that he wanted to just lie down under the table and end the game.
It was basically like,
he rolled up and went, "I'm going to beat you."
Yeah, he was like, "Tom, here's 20 Wraith Guard. Could you just move them down the flanks at you, please, and kill you with them? Thank you very much." Fantastic. I've got another question in here from Emperor Mintoff saying, the UK being filled with such high caliber players should lead to much potential. Is it time for Team England to push for leagues? I think, it sounds like that's the kind of stuff we're looking at, right? Just more internal teams competition going on.
It's something for the future where we'd love to institute our own league side of it, or process side of it. I think like I said, coming back right to the beginning of how we select the captaincy and how it's set up. I mean, we're in the process this year of making it an actual formal institution. So we'll be setting that up. And it might be that in the future I'll step away as the captain side of it, because it's going to need somebody with a name on a tax document somewhere that does that side of things. And I think, that sounds really cocky, but I think I'm the last survivor of previous generations of Team England, wherever, and just because of work or life or other commitment, those people aren't able to be part of Team England anymore. So I'm trying to set it up now where it can run as a really successful, I suppose, institution on its own. I've said this lots. England, I don't think should ever be a business. We should be a community entity that's there to support 40k in England and find the best players. That should always be the driver. So we're trying to do the setup alongside the expansion stuff of finding new players, improving our tournament performance. Leagues, do you know what? I think actually clubs and the strength of clubs, yourselves, Black Crow Gaming, Mind Goblins, as examples of this. I'm probably forgetting to mention. I apologise.
There's also
Sigil Redacted. There's all these
Sigil,
things really
Carnage,
stepping up as real teams that we were to go. Cool. If we were to offer this for next year, and this person gets a seat on the council or a place or a vice, it's that point, isn't it, where you go, I don't think we're quite at the French league stage, and I don't want to have anything where there's a big juicy prize that maybe sours the competition. But I think certainly the buy-in from those clubs is there. Those players are all applying. We've got people from every group. So it's a big, complicated, messy tree that we're trying to navigate. Nobody's ever done it before.
No. And I think that's where the process last year was so different. Is that I found myself in there talking and playing against people from across different clubs and teams in a way that I'd never done before, other than at events itself. Right, suddenly your practice could also be across club at a really high level, and that's awesome. I think that's all really cool.
John gets my wavelength there. Wise men plant trees, the shade of which they will never see.
Oh,
yeah,
there we go. All right, so sounds like we're moving into the present and/or the future. I wonder, Chris, if you had any other sort of questions that we haven't already touched into.
Tony's done an amazing job of touching on so many different points. I'm like, oh, well,
he's excited.
Yeah,
I'm a nightmare to interview. Yes,
you really are. You really are. I think, again, like coming from like my perspective, I think I'm more interested in the community side of things. So I think it would be interesting, like over the next kind of year or two, like how do you see England and the community? Because I fully agree. I think if you take any sport or anything, England is the end goal, but that works its way all the way down to grassroots. Like, do you see a situation where down the line, like England are running training workshops and or are they going along to like club nights and that sort of thing? Are they sending out players to try and get involved in the community and these game nights? Because we think about the community we've got at the moment. You've got your WTC players who are just an extension of all the competitive tournament players we've got. But we know that is quite a small percentage of the game. And we've got, lots of people who go to their club night and play. Like, is there a goal to try and potentially get those people interested? Because we've tried to run like boot camps and like our evening twilight sessions. Like, hey, you see Fireside and that sort of thing. You've got Vic, Dave Gaylord. They're doing like coaching nights at the moment on TTS. Like, if you guys introduce that sort of thing, like, is that something you're thinking about potentially to try and push out? Sports does this a lot, right? Like the professionals or the coaches will go around and scout out, but also do some coaching for younger people or for whatever. Like, is that a long-term view or is it something?
So right now we're at top level in terms of like, okay, 2 years we had nothing. 2 years we had like 20 applicants and we picked the team up from that. The next year we had 60 odd and we tried to bring that out. This year we might be more, to be fair, but around there. We're trying to stretch that to have a bigger pool maybe, but bring it into a smaller selection group. And the work starts there really with keeping the ties. So we've already got some designated the ambassadors within the selection group in terms of we're going to try and have, where possible, one of us at least should be at every single team event or singles event the UKTC runs. And in terms of top down for me, that's probably the biggest events where we go. We're going to be at those. We'll be in an England event, hoodie. Come and see us. Come and speak to us about it as a starting point. for the new year, we are planning to do some kind of England. It's I suppose it's fundraising workshops from our side of it, because with to go to WTC, we sat and calculated actually this year, and it's somewhere between 10 and 12 grand for everybody on the team to go collectively for your, and that's just for your tickets and your travel and shirts and the dice and like, because there's all sorts of things that go with it. So we're trying to fundraise for a load of that. The ticket itself for the event is about is at least €1,200 for the year. So like that again, that's just the playing team and a coach. You want additional coaches, you've got to pay for those. So there's loads of fundraising on that side. So I see it as community side, we're going to hit those big events. We're going to start doing some smaller workshops. For next year, I mean, it's a bit of planning that needs to happen in the new year. And I'm probably going to start doing the planning and hopefully it'll be me again, and maybe it won't be me again. But whichever captain it is, we'll be able to have the chance. I'd love to have a team challenge tournament that we host where, that Barnsley event that we're doing as a fundraiser. Well, I'd love to go free ticket or something. We get sponsored, we get that covered, and we get a selection of where we go. The best of 6++, the best of Mind Golf, bring the best 8, and we give you that chance to go 8v8s in a room, and we'll ref it and we'll watch it, and that's where I'd love us to see us going. It's harder on the other side of it, but essentially we started this year. We're going to have some more within. It sounds silly, doesn't it? Right, but just within Discord, some more mods and some more people helping out. And we've got this England ambassador badge that we're going to start giving out to people, and we're just going to start taking their picture and putting them on the Discord and the website and going, these are people that go to your event that you can play against and you can ask about the WTC and what it is. The Discord is going to be the hub for that. Discord, I think, is just a fantastic tool that's really come up in the past few years. We are just pushing people to that. That will always be free. There's a small fee for application with Team England this year. We're charging a £5 for people to apply. We had never done that before, but it gives us, as I said, because somebody asked me on the Discord, gives us a bit of wiggle room because, honestly, if I want to book an event now, I'll put it on my credit card and then I'll recoup myself from the tournament things. It's those things where we're trying to build up a little bit of a kind of we can run this community thing. So we're never coming at the end of the year going, oh my God, we made 20 grand. Oh, everybody have a box set. Like we're nowhere near that. But that community side of it, we're starting.
Yeah.
2 or 3 years
be a bit
of
a gives back, and it can be a really virtuous cycle in that sense, right?
Year one is this, right? Because we're doing so many other changes at the moment. Year one is make us visible in big events wherever possible, and we're going to do some smaller stuff that if you're interested, you can buy into. From there, we're going to be at events. We're going to have teams at events. We're going to be at ITTs, and we'll build that up. And then for next year, like I said, this again is timing. Maybe at the start of the new year, just before we pick that squad, when we do that teams event, I'm trying to find times when we don't clash with a Vegas or an ITT kind of established calendar event, and this is just hard. So that's next year's plan, and by that third year, sky's the limit. Really, I think some people within the setup and the group and the Discord would love to pay for coaching through England, and some people would love to pay to have like team coaching and that side of it. It's a hard line to walk when we're trying to be a community group and not a profit group, I suppose.
Yeah.
I could be more, I suppose, ambiguous about this, but this is the honesty about England as an entity. I think whoever's running it, it should be for England, the community group, and the team to win the WTC, not England because it makes me some money on the side for my coaching. Because I could easily pivot it towards that and be in charge of. That's not the point.
Yeah, for sure.
So the community growth, we've already had. Just sorry to end on. We've already had tons of clubs offer to approach us and support us. Yourself amongst that, right? You guys with your club of 6++, we're partnering with you guys this year because loads of things that you're doing, you're helping us out with, and hopefully it just helps raise the visibility of Team England.
Yeah, absolutely. No, completely. And I think the wider involvement of all the other teams is the teams involved in the community is starting to look more and more like the UK competitive picture as you'd want it to be, right? And it's expanding more and more all the time. I did actually, before we move forward into the present even further, Tony, one question that actually came to mind for me as someone who'd been inside the process, and I was curious what you think now sat here now. Last year was it was probably the most like TTS centered process that's ever been, right, in terms of trying to get everyone connected up online and doing that more. Where do you feel going into this process this time around, where do you feel about that balance between the sort of TTS and getting people in the application involved on TTS and in-person games and experience now, having been able to basically sample, I guess, all the possible extremes of that over the last few years?
So at the tail end of the process, right, when the lists have come out and you've got 6 weeks to practice, realistically, you'll get 1, maybe 2 weekends where everybody can get together, or a chunk of you can get together. And the reality is that the best teams in the world, the podium teams, the top 5 teams, the Americas, the USAs, the Germanys, the Frances, the Swedens, they are on TTS every night. And I do mean every night. They're on every night playing multiple games. And they'll do it for 3 hours, but in 3 hours, they'll play 3 games. Because they'll do it, they'll practice their setup, they'll do a turn or 2, and they don't worry that they don't want to play it because turn 5 they might get this card and they get an 11-9 win. Where they're just getting the feel of the game. Is this bad for me? Is this good for me? What should I be doing? And they'll get somebody in who plays that to coach or help or watch it, and then they'll work through it. That's the end. That doesn't have to be the whole process. And this year we tried to be really upfront with that and go, look, you've got to play TTS. You have to. We're setting 5 things, 5 little challenges, really, really simple stuff. Write a list that does this. Play a game in this style. Play this as a defender. Like really simple stuff over the next kind of 4 months, where we're going to do 3 of those 5 tasks. But play regular games. And this year we're going to completely remove. We did like channels, and people did like little diaries and blog posts. If you're not really into typing and writing little narratives, then that's not for you. And also, some people aren't that IT savvy but can play TTS and can get their own loaded up. So like we're trying to find that point where it's not a chore to play a game and then write it up. So we're going to switch to more of a data logging format where you submit it, and there's going to be 3 sides of it where our overriding function is going to be, rather than going, I played a TTS game and then I did it, and I played this one and I did it, and then this was my score. I don't want to see the scores. I want to see, how do you talk about the game? How do you understand your games? So we're looking at, your game scores and your logs of that, and that could just be your tournament. So we've asked you to do a game a week. Well, if you go to an event and you play 5 games, well, there you go. That's 5 games worth of logs you can put in. Catches you up. You want to play TTS game once every fortnight? It's great, because that's a great way for me to see you on the Discord and see how you are, how the players are, you interact. If you're new and you're not going to loads of our events, then that's going to be something you have to do. So the TTS should be there to support. But like I said, we've got this 3-stage process where we're going to ask you to go talk about the game. Like, what are you predicting as a score? Like we would a WTC play. Mid-game, did the game unfold like you thought it was? Like, did your opponent do something different? Did something go like badly? You didn't expect it? And then ultimately, rather than going things that you could improve, it's the going forward, I want to score in the Matrix for this matchup. So Tom's GT the Cult against Emperor's Children. What's the score? What am I putting in the Matrix? Because we want to see that game knowledge. Because we know. I mean, I've got the matrices of a dozen top nations to look at. So you tell me Emperor's Children is really great for the GSC, and I've got all these matrices in the top nations tell me it's bad. That's that.
I'm missing it.
So the TTS it's going to always be there. It's going to be a tool as we start to whittle down. We're going to make you play more games. It's going to be on TTS. And again, that's the reality. What we're trying to do this time, and this is a big bit of feedback we had in the previous year. We don't want to stop people playing 40k to apply for Team England.
No.
That should be. You should be doing it and using that to enhance your application. TTS is there. We're providing a Discord with loads of people in it, and we're going, here's a thing we want you to test. Go and do it. Here's a Discord full of people. They're all testing it as well. That's what TTS should be. It should be a tool, but, and I'll come back to it, I still don't think we do enough at the crunch end. I think we still are. We're too soft on ourselves. I'm really blunt about it. We go, but I need a night off. We need this. I think we need to be more rigid with regular game nights and X amount of you're on this night. I don't get. Is that your club night? Sack off your club for 6 weeks because you're in Team England. Because other teams do that. Australians are a great example, right? If the year Australia won it, and I don't know if the team still does it that year. If you made it to the team, you committed to get to spending 10 days of vacation in a shared Airbnb. You all went and you brought your partners and you all went out for meals in the evening and you all went out and did something. But in the day, you were there from 8 till 6 games.
Playing 40k,
And then your partners or girlfriends could go out, they could do whatever. And then you got together, you chilled, you had the evening. You probably chatted 40k as the boys because you do. And then you went again. And that was a massive commitment then because they said not only is it a big financial commitment and time commitment, we're traveling to the other side of the world. It's a lot for them to get over there, and to get their armies and transport everything. It really is. You look at the cost of a Games Workshop box set in Australia, and you understand why. So all of that, you go, do England do that? And I think, you know what? We've done loads to improve the team. The TTS this year was 10 times what it was the year before and
Yeah.
the year before that, but there's still that scope of improvement. And if that improvement gets me 4 more points and become 6th, job done.
Yeah.
It sounds flippant, that, right? But if
Mhm,
that's the fine margin, that little bit of push for 5 or 6 weeks gets that person, oh, I'm a bit more aware of that game. I'm not going to make that mistake.
Yeah.
It was all worth it. So
100%.
did we achieve what we wanted to last year in terms of placement? No. Are we ripping it all up? No. But we're
Yeah.
keeping all the things that we know worked, and we're adding all the new things that we think will enhance that,
Mm.
and we go again. And that is, if you like your competitive sport, if you like your golf, if you like your football, whatever, for my sins, I am a Man United fan, and I do remember the glory days with Ferguson winning everything. But then I go to now and I go, well, I still watch every game. I still want to watch I'm still excited for it. That's also my approach to England, right? I'm excited for every year, every selection, the new players, the old players coming back. What can we do? It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be really exciting in that sense. And speaking of old players coming back, obviously, you did have a little leadership run against Boris Musa
Yes, indeed.
immediately after WTC. I can appreciate probably just after getting back from WTC, that's not ideal news for you. But obviously, it's ended up being an extremely positive thing because you've got Boris in the leadership team. You've got lots of good ideas flying around. I guess, how are you feeling now? You've had a bit of time to sort of sit back and sort of process all of that happening. And what do you think are the benefits of actually having a competition at the end? Obviously, I think last time was uncontested, right? So I feel like this time there's been some more kinetic energy generated by having a bit of a competition when you get back.
So I made myself, when I got back, like literally within a couple of days, post on the Discord. I sat myself down and I've got to post this out and get this going. Because if there's going to be a captaincy vote, we're upfront about it, and the process is really open. The past players from the past 3 years, any past player can apply to be captain, but players in the past 3 years, players or coaches who've been to the event get to vote. So it ended up being a pool of, I think, like 22 or 23 players.
Yeah.
I think you should always it should always be open that somebody who has the ability to apply can do it and feel that they can. So, you can ask Boris. I'm not lying. The first thing that when he said, I'd like to stand for captain, I said, great. I just want to say, I'm really pleased. The process is open. Like, asking any questions. If you win, straight up, I'm still going to apply and I'm going to want to be involved if you'll have me. But that's how it should be. And
yeah,
we've had England leadership questions before. People didn't want to play for each other, and it was potentially, contentious. I hope it will never be that, because it's just not for the good of the team. New ideas are good, and if some people came to me and said, "Oh, but Boris didn't go last year, so he hasn't seen some of the things you've done." Yeah, that's right, but that gives you his perspective from the outside looking in, and the people he's spoken to people who maybe on the other side that don't like me as captain, that don't like the things we did, that didn't get selected for the team, that think that England should be higher. There's all of those things. Come on, this is I suppose the double-edged sword of, by me taking England forward as a big entity for more people to involve with, then I'm open to more criticism, and that's why I mentioned it before. I'm a big boy, broad shoulders. It's water off a duck's back, and as soon as we've done it, Boris and I were messaging back and forth. And Boris was keen to be involved, and I was keen to have him. And straight up, there we go. He's in. He's sharing ideas. We're going, we think this works. We think this doesn't work. It's not, your idea was better than mine, so we're going to go with this. It's not that at all. It's, okay, how can we combine all of these things to make the best England team?
Yeah, 100%.
You know what? If Boris is on the team next to me, we win, I'll be jumping up and down with him, just like with anybody else. It's not going to be the stony-faced, oh, well, you are my rival. I can't believe it. And he was a great teammate when he played in the team previously.
Absolutely.
So I think England should be that, right? It should be a community of old players coming back, taking years in, taking years out. Not everybody can go every year. Real life, having babies, moving, holidays, you name it, right? Comes up. So we have to draw on all of those things. As Chris mentioned before when he asked me about community, there's so much to draw on. I think we're trying not to go too quickly and promise too many things to too many people. Lots of approaches have been made to us to go, can you do this? Can you do that? You know, like we can't squeeze any more events in between now and Christmas. We physically can't. Our players are already like, we can come to that one or that one. Can't do both. I'm already going to ITT. I want to go to this. I'm going to ETC this weekend, isn't it? In the Netherlands.
Yeah.
There's already tons of events in 40K. It's about the other way. I think maybe we partner with some of the UKTC ones. Maybe we find other events and we go, we're going to do this with you. Maybe we take teams to events that are happening already and we build our community that way. So it's been really exciting to have extra people on. Boris is not the only one. We've got Stephen, who's doing our social media and our kind of sponsorship there. And do you know what, right? I'll be really honest with you. I've got a busy job and I do all these other things. There's WTC stuff on the daily on our Discord that I have to chase up there, and captain's messages I have to reply to and chase. Just to have somebody to go, I'm going to post up that this team won this guy did this. It's great. It is a team effort now. It really This is me and 6 other people. Plus the extras, plus Chris, you guys are the
there's all sorts of people. Yeah.
There's potential other sponsors and supporters along the line, people who want to do events with us. So that England community side is growing. And what it should be is, if say I disappear next year and it's not captain, the next captain should have a massive contact network, a setup, a Discord, emails, accounts, funds. Like it should be a team ready for you to run. Just like when you take over as a manager, I keep using the football analogy, right? But Premier League team, you don't suddenly go, oh, do we need sponsors for the team? It's done for you.
Yeah, you want to be a Klopp rather than a Mourinho in this analogy, right? You want to leave it in good hands if you leave it at any point.
I don't know. Mourinho won something everywhere he went, so
there is that as well.
I could just nail that. I've really sorted it.
Yeah.
But I think the important thing is to understand that ultimately this is a hobby about painting and playing with your toy soldiers.
Yeah.
But it's grown so much in my lifetime from being something that was a niche little thing with a shop in the back of the town centre to massive events every single weekend that you can make a full-time living, you can stream, you can play, you can travel, you could be a content creator. Like that's just where it is, and it's amazing. God, I wish I was 20 years younger because I wouldn't be in the career I'm in now. I'd be doing that full-time. I'd be doing what he's doing, sacking off a day a week, not telling the missus and going, here it comes. Gradual. It's okay. You can sell some of that plastic crack supply. But like that all of those things come hand in hand with what we're trying to grow and what we're trying to build. I think we just have to be open to everything that we're able to take on. We're not going to do it too quickly, I suppose, is the only thing I'll say. Football is the one with the net said. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, Edward's got some useful lines of inquiry here. Chris, have you got any other questions from your list, mate?
I think obviously we've talked about England as a whole, but a lot of the people listening to this will be people who are applying, right? Yeah. So they're going to want to know what they need to be doing to try and have the best chance of making the team. So from your perspective, what are the sort of things, if we remove kind of like the player skill element of things, what are you looking from the applicants? You've got over 60 people that say apply. What are these 16 people going to have to do in order to be noticed and to prove to you that they are worthy of those 16 spots?
So the first one is, and this is that sounds very easy, doesn't it? Pick a faction that you are good with and go and show that you're good with it and play games. Mix those games up. Real life games, TTS games, and then log those games so I can see them. Last year I had people who came to me at selection points going, oh, but I've been playing loads of games every week. I didn't write it down. I didn't share it with you. I didn't email it to you. So, not fictional games, because that was another thing. It's hard, right? You do a channel and you go, cool, here's the channel. Who did you play? Like, I played a game at my club against Tom. I beat 20-0 again. I beat Tom every week, 20-0. How do I know that Tom even exists? How do I know you just sat there? And then I played Chris and I beat him 20-0 as well. So like that side of it, you go, okay, great. Play games on our Discord, on TTS. Already mentioned that lovely word. Play games with people who are in the process. Show that you have a concept and you can beat them on the terrain set we want. Go to events that use that terrain set, and failing that, go to other events where I can find your record and see what you're doing. And then talk about that. You've got the opportunity to talk about why the list works and how it works. I don't want some sort of kind of paid for tactica where you're going to give me the 5 easy steps to winning with Eldar, but show me how you play a list. Show me what you want the list to do. And this is WTC is a big thing about differential. Singles is about beating your opponent by one more point. I won, you lose. Haha, great. WTC is, you beat me by a point. It's 10-10, buddy. You have to beat me by 10 points. And if you beat me by 10 points, 11 points to be fair, it's 11-9. Wow, you get a gentleman's win. Do you know what I mean? And that what a massive difference. You come to the singles game and go, I had a tough game against Tom. I beat him by 11 points, just scraped through at the end. WTC are like, what could I have done more? It's that mindset. So I don't want a singles player mindset. I want, how am I going to, on a WTC team, produce scores and push differentials? Now, some players don't want to push differentials. Some players, I think it was the Malta team that had the Demons and Cultists tour. There's a guy from Malta, and he was there to ruin your WTC weekend. Not in that he was a bad player, he was their opponent. He brought 5 units of pink collars, 3 units of accursed cultists, some Nurglings and plague bearers, and he just went, here's 200 models, and they split, and the models to hit, and they've all got an invuln, and they all scout, and you're like, you can move in this tiny little space in your deployment zone. but his list didn't win every game, but it ground out a consistent score. Some people love to play the game that way. So if you're a person who loves to play like a grindy list, you beat your opponents by a couple of games, okay, maybe that's you. I want to see that style in the lists that you're playing, because you'll show me that. Some people like to smash. You are a differential pusher. You want to go into your games and go, oh, mate, I gave you 30 points. That was lax of me. I can't believe I let you have that many. You're pushing hundreds and you're stopping their score. Those are the best WTC players. Now, the best, because they're the ones that win us the rounds, because they're the ones that bring in a 20-0. 20-0, you've got to be pushing 51 plus points in differential. So you have got to score your points and stop your opponent. And you've got to set up and deploy and get everything right, because you know how you're going to stop me scoring the points.
Yeah.
So I can tell that, because if you tell me you're a 20-0 differential player and then you only win games 12-8, 13-7. There was a player I cut loose who, if he's watching this, will probably know what I'm talking about. I won't name him, but he was playing aggressive combat lists, but he was getting small wins. And the feedback was, you know what? You need to be more aggressive. You need to be pushing the big scores and punishing me and stopping me. Oh, I'll let you have this point. Let you have this card there, etc. And he was completely on board with that. And he went, you know what? I'm going to absolutely massively take that forward. That's something I've been trying to do anyway and help other people to do. I can't believe I haven't seen that on my own play.
Yeah.
So whatever your style is, you've got from now till December to show me. And end of December, right? We're going on the 12th of September, applications close. On the 12th of January, we're going to sit down and pick the first 16 players. And then from there, the 8 will come from there. So you've got all of that time to absolutely churn out games, report your games, show me the scores. And, right, by all means, go to your club night and play a game against your mate, who I don't know. And I don't need to take a picture or a selfie and submit that and go, he's real, I promise. But play in places that we can see and track. Go to events. And this is what's part of the application for we call it phase 1. Go to real events, singles, RTTs, ITTs, one day, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. Midweek, evening events. Go and play games and then log those scores. And do you know what? If you lose a game, you lose a game. I lost a game at WTC this summer. Tom lost a game at WTC this summer. Naz lost a game at WTC this summer. Nobody on Team England went undefeated. Nobody, in fact, very few people at WTC went undefeated, and not many of those people were in the top rounds. John Lennon, prime example, thought his list was good into Knights, had a plan. Knights rolled into him. The guy passed all his saves. John got tabled 20-0 in like half an hour. That's one of, if not the best player of 40k in the world. And he knows what he's doing. He knows what his list does. He knows what your list does. That's the dice game. Cards and dice are a factor of it. Where we've had players lose games going, mate, I couldn't re-roll a double 6 charge to save my life after 5 attempts in 5 turns.
Chris knows.
If you rolled a double 1 into a double 1 ever, you've been there. So I don't expect everybody to win every game, and I don't want you to not report games, because this is what we're trying to build up, right? We're also trying to build up on meta view. If what we think is going to happen in 11th edition comes, it's going to be, in theory, the rumours say, for whatever that means, it's going to be 10.5. So it's going to be the current rules, the current books, the current codexes, with a little bit extra on top. So I'm looking for the best 10th edition players I can find right now, and then we'll make do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a really interesting time. And I think as you've alluded to, a bunch of things that I think are really important for people, which is you got to get out there and do the thing. You got to go and play games. You got to go and demonstrate it in action. There are loads of teams events that go and demonstrate being a teams player. There are singles events that go and demonstrate that grit and that competitive capability. If you are learning, if you are applying to learn, be honest about that as well. But again, go and play the best people. Go and learn lessons from them. Be very honest about what you want to get from it. I think a lot of people in their first year applying do that and then jump on in subsequent years, right? So I think be very clear about that. But I think the best bit of advice I can give you as well is that you've got to go through people and things. You can't go around them. You're not going to get selected by going around the key things. You're going to, at the end of the day, you're going to go and have to play the best players. You're going to go and have to play at the toughest events. You're going to go and play a bunch of teams and demonstrate you can do these things. So be ready to do that, and don't shy away from tough challenges and tough games.
Yeah, and part we did this last year, and maybe it's just the nature of how we did it and the feedback and all sorts, because we wanted to take more players through, and I alluded to that earlier in our chat.
Mm-hmm.
This year we're doubling down on it again. We're saying if you don't make the cut at any point, stick around. If you want to stay in the extra level where we do start to close the layers a bit and go, we're working on this behind the closed doors and this behind closed doors, because the Discord's open, right? But it's a practice hub all year. But as we start to bring that group to the little closed area, anybody who wants to be in that closed area can be there. That's what we're committing to. So if you are new and you want to try and you don't make the cut to the first 16, but you still want to practice and play against the squad and be involved in the development of lists and the discussions about which faction's best, then say that you want to be involved. The coaches don't have to be the world's most grizzled veterans that just missed out. The coaches can be new players who are really great to have around the team and are really nice guys. Because do you know what? When you lose a game 20-0, you don't want a grizzled veteran telling you how you could have done it better and you messed up X, Y, and Z. You want just somebody you can just bounce off and have a drink with and just have a chat and go, oh, God, that was really annoying, and chat your 40K with. It takes all sorts of personalities to make a successful team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think there's no formula to get selected, but go and play your game the way you want to play it, and that will help us decide if we want you. That's the best thing I can simplify it down to.
Fantastic. All right, cool. Chris, you got any other
questions? I guess actually, as just slightly referencing what you said. So, what's your opinion on people if they're looking to do the best they can to get selected in terms of sticking with one faction, having 3 factions, meta chasing? Like, is there a particular thing you're looking for? Do you just have to do whatever you're going to choose to do really well?
So there is one stipulation in the application document, which is you have to show flexibility in more than one faction. You have to, because I'll take Tau, right? Prime example. I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning his name, Kyle Grundy over at Pure Tide program. He's Mr. Tau, isn't he? Mr. Tau UK. And he went through a couple of years where he'd applied for England and Tau weren't strong, and then he missed out. And then Tau were great, and I played Tau, so I ended up playing Tau. and I became coached one year when I was playing Eldar. Not last year, the year before. And we joked about it there. And it's one of those, right? If you only play one list and we don't see a way, or I'm not a rule set. I don't have an advanced plan. Games Workshop don't grant me any sort of special England dispensation. So he, if he had more flexibility, he could have been in and around the team or playing for the team. And then when Tau came up, he could have gone, "Yay, me!" Makes you think of that scene. Have you seen the Lego movie where finally they asked the spaceman to build the spaceship? That could have been him. In the 1980s computer tech. But like that. You've got to show some flexibility, because if you only play one list, like Eldar, right? I took Eldar last year to WTC, and even though I took them, the list wasn't good, and the Eldar weren't in a great place in the meta. But this year they were in a great place in the meta. But I can play Marines, I can play Eldar. I've got a GSC army, I've got a Grey Knight army. There's loads of flexibility there. I've got a massive Orc collection I haven't taken out of the box in years. You've got to have some flexibility, and if we've got 4 or 5 months and there's TTS and real events, sure, go and play your real-life events with Space Marines, do some TTS games with Eldar. Meta chasing, it is easy, isn't it, to go, well, I'll just play the 2 strongest armies in the meta and only show those. Well, fair enough. There is some argument that if you can go to every single event you go to with the strongest army in the meta and smash everybody and go, because what I'm going to expect then, right? Say Knights, okay? If you're running Knights and you only get 20-0 wins at real-life events, you're a pretty good player.
Yeah.
I'm not going to begrudge that. And if we come to a 16, I'm going to go, well, that looks pretty good. Equally, I'm not. I think back to points in the meta where Eldar were broken or Necrons were broken, or remember one event years ago where it was there's 100 players and 70 of them are using Necrons.
Yeah.
I don't think the game's in that stage now. And even though there's new stuff coming out and the power creep is there, the game feels quite balanced. Games Workshop is pushing down anything that's too powerful. Knights are going to be broken for at least a month because it's a new book and they want to sell it, blah, blah, blah. It's been delayed. But you start to go, well, there's a new edition. we're just looking for flexibility of players. We want everybody to have a second faction, and we don't pick it so it's a weird tapestry that all overlaps. We pick the players we think are the best, and we're going to make that work. This year, that is what we're looking for. We're looking for the strongest overall players. So that's what you have to prove. You do have to prove it with more than one faction. But like I said, go to real-life events with the faction you want to main, with the thing you're going with the ITT. So people just go for the UKTC best in faction, don't they? Or the ITT best in faction. Do it. Go for the best in the world in Dark Eldar or Space Marines. But that doesn't mean you can't play Votan on Discord.
Yeah.
Here's my games. That shows me a great deal of depth. If you can do it over 3 factions, even better. I've got players who are Necron experts who are now playing other armies just so they can do it, or have played Space Marines and things over the year to show that depth. So, God knows what the new edition's going to bring, because I don't. But I'd like all the players, who we've got at that point to have a multiple options. And piece it. We've had players. Tom's been around for that, where players have been forced onto a build or a list, and it doesn't feel them. And at that kind of core level, if you don't even like the models and want to build them, enjoy playing with it, are you really going to have a good event?
Yeah, that's where player role can be quite useful, right? Because it's finding something for the role is quite useful at that point.
The hardest ones, I think, when the role changes. Like if you play Eldar and then Eldar, the book gets nerfed and it's only a draw script. Like, do you enjoy the play style? I like fast lists. I don't necessarily like lists. I don't care if it's a grindy list. I don't care if it's a smashy list. It's fun to smash people. Everybody likes winning 20-0. But I like lists that let me move around the board and be zippy. I could not play a horde list. It just would do. Do you know what? I played the Green Tide, and do you know why I like that list? Because I could teleport a unit every single turn. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. We're trying to piece that side of it together for you. So, what's your play style? How do you like to play?
Yeah,
I think that we've got enough people around me who are savvy enough to figure out if somebody's just running the hot stuff every single minute and they hit it when it's broken. But again, I come back to it. This is not the meta where Iron Hands are the best army in the game and smash everybody 20-0.
Yes, it's not, Tony. They're putting all the special ones out again.
Well, I did say I think that. There's loads to look forward to in the game. We'll just see where it ends up.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. All right, cool. Anything else, Chris? Or we? I think
a lot
of the main things I wanted to cover.
Yeah, I'd reflect what Charlie says. I think it's England face a battle and they're gradually overcoming it. But it's this WTC isn't really spoken a huge amount in the general YouTube sphere, and you've still got this England thing, and you're trying to break down these walls of look, anyone can apply, please apply. It will just make you a better player. Just do it. If you are genuinely interested in becoming a better player, go and apply, because you will just get to play games against people who are better than you. As we all know, that's how you improve. And on top of that, you're going to be getting feedback from top level coaches who are saying, well, actually, we think you should be doing X, Y, Z. That's a no-brainer if you're genuinely interested in improving as a player and you have the time. But as you've kind of said, actually, it's not as much of a time sink in the early stages, especially as one may think. And I think these are the sorts of conversations where it's quite nice just to hear all the people who are going to be listening to this and can just get that reassurance, really, that this is just a process which isn't elitist in any way. Of course, a lot of the people involved this year will be people who were involved last year and that sort of thing, but everyone's friendly, aren't they, really? Well, most of them, apart from that.
I'll come to that as well, just really quickly, Chris. I had a choice with how we set up the selection this year. I've set it up so that no more than four to five, if I'm selected, because I'm not guaranteed to play, 4 to 5 of us from last year's team can be selected to play. But there's going to be at least 3 new players. Now, those could be returning players who've played before, but in every single year I've been to WTC, we've taken at least 1 new player.
Yeah.
Every single year. Because there's always somebody who you go, oh, they're really good. They're bright, fresh, they've got new ideas. And there's so many new players in the pool this year, I'm sure we'll be the same. And it's just that for me is really exciting. It's where the team should go. It should be something where your mate at the club should be able to get onto Team England. Because I was that years ago. I was a guy who applied. I was living in Chelmsford and I applied from the group of guys that I'm going to go for this and started to go to events, started chatting to people. And back then it was just between me and it was me and one other person, and the other 7 were set. And there was a closed forum somewhere back in the days of old forum web pages you could join, and it had like 4 posts on it. And look where we are now. Like that's the journey. So there's loads to do. I mean, there's so many ideas. We've already banded around these 3 hour calls of fundraisers, coaching, open weekends. Like it's just finding the space and the time so that people can and want to go to them. Because doing these things and you get 5 or 6 people is a bit naff, right? But particularly with the access we've got with Boris and his Bad Moon venues in London, he's going to be doing some England like coaching and open things. So if you're new to the process or want to improve, want to learn about WTC, we'll be offering some coaching and support on that, and chance to meet some of us, and also just put some money in the England pot. We're going to try and do a couple of those. We're hopefully doing some events with some friends near and dear to us in the new year, and then we've got our own events coming up this kind of process. If you apply, then there are tickets available for the Battle of Britain event and for the Prestige 8-man teams events, which we'd love to have people involved in. That's it. That's all it requires. There's no extra level of, like, we're not going to rank you on number you've been playing or how experienced are. First come, first served, get a ticket, done. And I'm going to start processing those once we hit the weekend and we get applications. So really, there's tons. We're sending a team hopefully to Poland in November for the Pirate Cup. We're not sending anybody to ITT in November because we want people to go with their clubs. We're not doing anything in January ITT. I went to that last year with a group of guys I'm mates with. I put my England jersey on and I chatted to people, but I just went to soak up the atmosphere and be around it. That was it. I'll probably try and do the same again this year, but we're not going to be there. But I'll be there in a hoodie. Tom is going to be around at most UKTC events. But between myself, Naz, Dave, Robert, we're going to be there.
Yeah.
So if you see us, we should wear something, something with a England. Where are we going? England logo on it. There we go. Just find it. Come and chat to us.
I think that's really worth emphasizing, right? Like, it's more accessible. It is easier to actually speak to and get information about this from the people at the top of it than it's ever been. So take advantage of that and come and say hey to people and get involved.
I do waffle a lot, boys. I apologise for that. But if you're watching the video and you've been here for an hour and 16 minutes, all I'll just say is I've got, suppose, 2 approaches to this. I can either be really closed and really give you nice public facing answers that are like, England's really going to do this. Or I could just talk about it honestly, and I'd rather do the latter and go. If you see me at an event, this is what I'll say. On how we did last year, and what we're trying to do, on our fundraising, on our goals, on what I think about England and what it should be. That's where I've got to in the time I've been doing it, and this is going to be my 13th year, 14th year. Cost me all my hair on my side.
That just hit me in the gut, even thinking about 13 consecutive years of it.
Yeah, and it's I'm no like Centurion or anything, but there's other players like Typhus and Pumba who are involved in the Poland team who step back because real life, marriage, kids, all sorts. People will go in and out. It won't be me forever, but we're trying to build up a team around it so the next guy is ready to go, whoever it might be. Or it might be me again.
It's turning it into an institution, isn't it? It's on its way.
That's the plan.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, fantastic. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Tony, for coming on and chatting. It was really, really interesting to get your thoughts on all that stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
We'll obviously, we'll be doing more England stuff going forwards. Six of us obviously love to make England content and love to do some commentating on England events as they go. So as all these different plans get rolled out, you will hear more from us about that. Before
we go, shout out to Ryan who did win every game and finish second.
Yeah, I was going to say when you said it was a blunting this, I was like, yeah, I mean, blunting if crushing their dreams is blunting.
We've experienced Ryan at least 2 ITTs, and you see his list, and you're like, who wants to play that? And nobody
does.
But you know what? After that event, 2 of our players come out going, I need a list like that. That's amazing. I'd love to run that list.
He's played it for so long as well.
It's the power of the bonkers team skew, isn't it? And that's a real learning point, I think. And he had an incredible event. It really will. Okay, fantastic. On that Maltese note, we shall get out of your hair. We'll be back again next time. Bye-bye, guys. Be well. See you soon.